VGK mismanages pucks and a lack of maturity. That's costly in the 5-1 home loss to the Rangers for the Golden Knights last night. Is VGK perhaps practicing too much, Chris? We'll talk about that. And is their workload a little bit too heavy right now? Have they burnt out? And what are some of the reasons behind VGK's mid record at home? We'll get into that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Hope you are doing well. Don't forget you could find us at Locked On VGK on Twitter, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you leave those tremendous comments, especially the ones that you leave about me. I really enjoy those. So, Chris, so I watched last night. I was doing some hoops, and I watched that third period and the collapse for the Vegas Golden Knights. They fell apart, giving up the 4 goals to my New York Rangers. People got mad that we both predicted that the Rangers would win this game. But then I also listened to the post-game show, and I heard Bruce Cassidy's comments. And, man, he was a little bit antsy last night in the post-game. And he said that VGK had mismanaged the puck. He goes, anytime you do that, a good team like the Rangers will shove it up your butt. Another butt word, but yeah, we don't want to say that. But last night, let's talk about, some of the things that unraveled for the VGK. Talk to us about the Shea Theodore, his coming unraveled in the game, and then a Chandler Stevenson game misconduct. What went wrong last night in this game?
It's a lot easier to talk about what went wrong than what went right. VGK wasn't ready to start. Let's go right from the word go, I guess. The first 4 or 5 minutes felt okay. I was literally doing my first tweet, just kind of saying, hey, it seems like a fair start so far. Teams kind of exchanging chances. VGK is kind of awake, right? And then you're watching the first period. The Rangers got the lead, and, it's just kind of not that exciting. And then we're walking in the concourse, and I peek up and see on one of the TVs that VGK was outshot 15-5 in the first. Like, okay, this is it's kind of what you expect because it is the first game back from the road trip, whatever it is about these weird games. And I told people twice yesterday, we talked about it on the show. I said, the line is fishy. Do not be careful with this line. VGK only a -140 favorite. I mean, folks, here's how a betting line works. VGK goes to Boston, they're +155, and they win a tough game. They almost lost it, but they win a tough game. That's a pretty big underdog to be +155. So now the Golden Knights come home. They are the best team in the West on paper, facing the 14th or 13th or 15th ranked team in the standings, the New York Rangers, who have been up and down, not that great by any means. They're a good team, but just their results haven't been there. And they're only -140. That is a short price when you look at these two teams on paper. So right there, and I put the tweet out, I said, don't be a fish. Do not be a fish. Do not make a bet on the outcome of this game because it might come back to bite you. And it did. But back to the first, 15-5 outshot. Another tweet I put out right after that, VGK was going to have a good second period. Cassie was going to have to figure something out. They won the second period. VGK won the second period. It was emotional. Keegan Kolesar got probably the loudest ovation I've ever seen him get. He had a very good fight against Gaudreau, who basically tried to decapitate Theodore and Logan Thompson with one hit. If you didn't catch that in the game, Gaudreau basically ran Theodore right into the back of the goal, hit Theodore good. I didn't even catch it the first time. The friggin' crossbar catches LT right in the back of the head, where there's a lot less padding as far as where the padding on the helmet goes. So that was certainly not great by any means. And then it all started with that unfortunate Shea Theodore selfish penalty at the end of the second. He was taking the puck up. I knew he was going to try and take it all himself at that point. He was going to try and make a play. 7 seconds left in the period. Go for it. He's capable of getting that goal right there. And then unfortunately he doesn't get it and decides he's going to take a piece of a player with him. Mark Stone took a terrible penalty. Chandler Stevenson, obviously, just loser hockey. It became loser hockey in the third. And credit Gerard Gallant for coming in and sticking to a game plan. The team attacked in waves. Every single line was crushing the Golden Knights, whether it was opportunities or physicality. And it was rough, but you have to give Gallant a ton of credit for playing Gerard Gallant hockey. That's the type of hockey that we've missed for about the last 5 years in Vegas.
And what was I saying on yesterday's show? I felt that, a team that dirties it up, that mucks it up against VGK has a good chance of winning because they are not that physical of a team. And also, that now they're shorthanded, and we'll get into that. But you could tell that the Rangers, that their focus last night, they played for their coach. They played for Gallant. And when Kreider said every game is a must win, and I started to think, well, there is a major sense of urgency. And we saw Gallant last night, again, putting those lines in the blender. He played Lafreniere. He played Capo Caco on the top line again with Mika, and it paid dividends. And, Gallant was really upset because they game planned against Mika, and it just fell apart. And he was really upset that they couldn't even play mature hockey, if you will.
Yeah, and looking back, Cassidy, he was messing with the lines all night, and I am all for tinkering with the lines and trying to figure out combinations and such, but it felt like Ronbjerg was never really in the mix that game last night. What I mean is you saw Kessel taking shifts at the second line right away. You saw Marchessault taking shifts down on the third line. You saw Carrier playing up and down between the third and the fourth line. So it almost was like, okay, Ronbjerg, go out there and get your feet wet. But I didn't see what the final time of ice was, but it couldn't have been a whole lot. And again, I'm all for messing with the lines and trying to figure something out, but I just don't understand a game plan where it's already determined that Ronbjerg's going to basically play a half of a game's worth of shifts and have other people replacing him. So it was a bit strange. Marchessault down the third line. I'm not sure what happened or why, or if that was simply just part of the plan before the game to get Ronbjerg's feet wet. He did mention something about Ronbjerg in the game. He's not going to measure him based off one game. Well, I don't think he gave him a chance. He really didn't give Ronbjerg a chance, unfortunately. And like Amadio took the skate last night. I'm not sure if Amadio is a quote unquote healthy scratch or if he's laboring something right now. We know Howden is injured. So, strange game. And this is on Cassidy. These games like this are on Cassidy to figure this out. We'll talk a little bit later about the difference from the home and the road side, but this is a Cassidy issue, plain and simple. Cassidy is running out of things to say when it's the first game back from the road trip, when the team doesn't start well at home, when the team isn't ready. He mentioned that's on me to get this going. It's on me. It's on me. It's on me. Well, dude, accountability is cool and all, but we have to start spinning the dials to figure out ways to get the results at home. 7-6 on home ice now. 7-6. This team was impossible to beat for 4 seasons on home ice.
Mm-hmm. Chandler Stevenson, his game misconduct. Could you explain what happened on that penalty?
No, because I didn't even know he got a game misconduct last night. I'm a terrible podcaster.
No. It was at the end of the game. It was his last penalty, and I think he said something.
Did he chirp on the way out? Give me 10 seconds. Let me look at the game.
No, it's okay.
Report.
That's all good. But while you're doing that, again, VGK playing shorthanded. No Jack Eichel again. I think that injury could be a lot more, not severe, but it's definitely an injury that it might
There's
take
more
some
meets
time.
the eye, definitely.
Yeah, might take some time to mend. And then Alex Pietrangelo, all along, you and I have been saying that we're starting to sense, and I spoke to reporters that, have been there at the pressers and everything else. And they're saying that there is major concern now for Pietrangelo, for his family. He's out due to personal reasons. And yesterday they said he's out indefinitely as something continues. And every time they talk about it on the air, we do get a sense as well that things, are not going well. So again, prayers to the Pietrangelo family, and you just hope that everything's okay. And I read a Players Tribune story going back. He's had some tragedy in his life. Playing in games, being on the ice has always been a distraction for Pietrangelo. So you hope that things are okay with him and his family.
Yeah, I mean, not to speculate a whole lot because that's definitely not what we're going to do, but there's something going on. And I'm not sure who the family member is, how direct it is, how severe it is, but it's something that's keeping him off the ice. And it's important to, for the team to offer that support. And you just hope everything gets better and gets better quickly. And hockey's a game. Like, who cares? Hockey's a game. It doesn't matter. It's fun. It's fun for us to talk about it, but at the end of the day, it's, it doesn't matter. Back to Chandler Stevenson looking at the game report. It says abusive officials. So he chirped on the way out.
And that's uncharacteristic.
Everyone.
That's
Yeah, Chandler
uncharacteristic
Stevenson
of him.
doesn't seem to be that type, but
No.
I think, there's 17 minutes or there's 3 minutes left in the game. And honestly, at that point, when the game is far like that, if there's, some rough stuff that happens, if someone's chirping too much, the refs are looking just to run people at that point. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They're looking to throw people out, but it's just the game's over. They want to get people off the ice before it gets worse. So possibly getting Stevenson off the ice and, not and throwing him out, so to speak, instead of just simply giving him an unsportsmanlike conduct where he comes back and chirps again. It's actually protecting Stevenson by, kind of giving him his moment to get his money's worth with the officials and then obviously get him off the ice. Want to highlight one thing that I saw that was interesting last night. So on that play with Gaudreau basically trying to decapitate two of our Vegas Golden Knights, Shea Theodore and Logan Thompson, we had the power play coming there. The power play was coming. And after it happened, you kind of saw some players in the area of Gaudreau, but no one was going to have a confrontation with him. No one was going at him. Shea Theodore looked mad for a second, but he thought better of it. Gaudreau, instead of going right to the box, this is where the linesman got to be a little bit better. When there's something that happens, the linesmen get right in there. When there's a possible scrum, when there's a right after the whistle and there's a penalty, whatever it is, the linesmen need to go in there. And when there's a penalty, the linesman basically escorts a player to the box. Gaudreau goes right to Keegan Colasar, who was not looking for confrontation. I'm not even taking a shot at Colasar. Colasar knew the situation. Gaudreau just grabs Colasar, just grabs him and starts ragdolling him. And then obviously you have that scrum breakout. And all of a sudden now Colasar and Gaudreau are going to the box. So credit Gaudreau for a veteran enforcer, whatever you want to call his role with that team, but credit Gaudreau with being a smart player and taking someone with him to the box. That was my friends from Chicago were in the game. John and Wada, long story about her name, but it's okay. Took him to the game last night, had a good time. But John is the one who pointed out that hey, he took someone with him. That's good hockey. That's smart hockey. That's a veteran move. I think the officials missed an opportunity to, in my opinion, the Colasar did not engage there. So what I would have liked to see happen was either no calls for the extra stuff, or give them both one. Give Gaudreau an extra 2 and give Colasar 2. So basically they skate 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, and then VGK gets a 2-minute power play on the tail of when the coincidentals expire.
Yeah, rough game for the VGK, and that collapse in the third period.
Mark Stone, gotta get that too.
The cross-checking penalty?
Just in general, yeah. I mean, Stone got that cross check. He took the puck in the back, and when he went off, he slammed that door so hard. I'm sure I've heard it before, but the rink was just kind of quiet to begin with, and he was pissed. He was in pain, and he looked so stiff out there. And it was actually right after that when it was the Rangers' third goal. Whatever the defensemen were pitching, there's a lot of stuff around the red line right there. And then I saw the play form literally from center ice, and I saw that Mark Stone was the last man back to try and keep it from becoming a 2-on-1. And there was plenty. Any other player would have kept up. Like the Ranger player that ultimately scored that goal did not have a big jump. I think, and I'm not taking a shot.
Was that the Hedl?
It might have been Hedl. It might have been Hedl, who actually he was injured for a while and just came back.
Yeah, he just came back. We were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So any other player would have, and even Nick Hague would have been able to at least made more of a, not effort, because Stone gave an effort. I want to be clear. I'm not questioning Stone's effort whatsoever, but Stone was hobbled, and I'm really curious to see if he's out there in practice today, and if he doesn't, might maybe wind up missing a game or two because adrenaline, right? You get hit a little bit, but you're still on the ice. You got the fans there and all the buzzing and everything. And then the next morning, that's when you really don't feel that well. So there's a shot, and again, outside shot. No Mark Stone, no Jack Eichel, no Pietrangelo, and you're in a game. You got to win on Friday against Philly. You have to. End of story. End of story. I don't care if we got to send Manny Vivros and the Silver Knights out there. You got to win that game on Friday.
Coming up next, you touched on practice. Are they going to practice today? Is this workload becoming a little bit too much?
They're practicing.
And could the VGK be burned out from travel time and from practicing maybe a bit too much? We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information for stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league that's out there, from football to basketball to soccer to esports. We've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those as well at BetOnline. Make sure that you check out the fastest and easiest way to get all of your sports betting information and your sports betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn a lot more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. And of course, you could follow us on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, and at Locked On VGK. And thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. So last night, Chris, talking to some hockey fans in the aftermath, stopped by after I broadcast the game, met up with some friends at a local sports book last night, and we were watching period 3. So I broadcast the game across the street at the Dollar Loan Center. That was a lot of fun last night. But I I drove over and then walked into the sports book, talking to some hockey friends, and after the game, and then driving home, and we started to talk about the workload for VGK at this time of year, right? And they started talking about it on the post-game show as I left. Is VGK perhaps practicing too much? And along with the travel, is this something that perhaps is of a concern? Because Cassidy, he discussed it, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago about having to just make some time to practice. When do you practice? When don't you practice? On the road, they said they had that one really good practice, and then things imploded after that game, and all of that. So
let's go Rangers!
There we go. Hey, our fans are still mad at us for you and I both picking the Rangers last night. I saw it come down to minus 130, by the way, too. But you can't.
Wow, it shifted like that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, can't coaches gauge, when a team is a little bit tired, worn down, run down, and VGK, maybe this is perhaps one of the reasons why they've hit the wall. Let's go Rangers.
Go ahead, Chris.
Let's go Rangers!
Okay, you're done. Chris was having a ball last night. So again, his second favorite team is the Rangers. He was starting Rangers chants. He was having fun. He even at the wrong time, my good buddy, the Golden Knight, stopped by, and he was even chirping the Golden Knight a little bit last night. But real fun night. And all the Ranger fans around us, everyone was a lot of fun. Definitely want to give a shout out. And met someone last night. Give me a second. I got their QR code. Double Defense, Double D New York Rangers podcast. Seemed like a fun group that was right behind us, just kind of having some fun and talking. So shout out to them and our pleasant interactions. So looking back at the schedule right now, and they did talk about this in the post game last night. And a lot of times when you have the road trip, you usually have a travel day built in. So it's usually road trip, 2 calendar days, and then a game. That's usually how it works out, not always. So it's kind of looking back, like VGK goes to Seattle and Calgary. Only one day playing back home against Winnipeg. 5-game road trip, that Friday off, come back Saturday, lose to St. Louis, pardon me. Edmonton, Vancouver, 1 day off, right back at it against Ottawa. Boston, 1 day off, and then here we go. We got the Rangers here. So it is that blend. And I mean, you can probably count the number of practices they've actually had from since November started. I mean, probably 1, 2, 3. They probably had like 8 practices, maybe 7 practices since the month of November, which that's not a lot of practices at all. You have the pregame skates, the day of game skates, which are a little bit different than a quote unquote coordinated practice where you can work on things and stuff. And so are they practicing too much maybe on these travel days? I mean, I don't know. It's so tough to gauge that right now. And it could be something, whether it's too much, whether it's not enough. And it's reality. Like, we're not making an excuse for the team. You got to win. Like I said on Monday against Boston, I was probably the only Vegas Golden Knights fan that wasn't thrilled with the outcome of that game, even though the fact that they won. And now you look at a game like this, and this is why I'm not thrilled, because if you're going to give up these types of leads and get lucky to get out of a victory, game like that against Boston, well, the Rangers come in and wipe the floor with you. It's not that I told you so, but it's simply foreshadowing what the team is doing and what their path is, if we're going to be using a horse racing reference, what their not class, what's the word for how they look, their appearance, how they're, whatever it is, their form, that's the word I'm looking at, form. And VGK is not in good form right now. And this isn't an excuse. This isn't us, pointing the schedule gods saying we're getting hosed right now. And it goes both ways. Tony, you mentioned you love talking about how things are tilted for the Golden Knights as far as getting teams on the wrong end on the back-to-back and tough travel days and things like that. Well, now we're getting some of the opposite of that home cooking here. And we're seeing that it's not, now we understand maybe why some of the other teams were having a hard time getting the jump on us at T-Mobile Arena early on in the season.
Okay, so I think, also too, so today is Thursday and they played a game last night. Do they have to come out early today? Can you just sleep in, mend, whatever?
They're practicing later today. Oh, they're doing ladders today, Tony. They're doing ladders.
But why not practice later in the day is what I'm saying, so they can maybe refresh, get their bodies, a little bit on the mend, and then come back. So here's my theory about Cassidy and practice and the way that this schedule has really shaken out. And I think he really kind of alluded to this as well. So there is a delicate balance about when you should practice, when not. And I just have a feeling internally that the veterans are probably talking to him about, no, we don't want to practice today. Today might be a good day to take the day off, really would be, and come back, tomorrow and get back there on the ice and just stay at home, relax, go in for some, some therapy, everything else. But I believe Cassidy really, I think this might be more about him being a creature of habit and playing in the East. He talked about this, right? So a lot of shorter trips, right? All of those teams are concentrated on the East Coast. He cannot have that same schedule when he's going from the Pacific time zone to the East. He can't do the same things. A lot of his schedule, think about it. It was all up and down the East Coast. Yep. Some of those markets you could literally take a bus to, yep. When you're playing games. They're quick jaunts up and down, an hour and a half. There's just so many teams there in the East. And now he's playing in a different time zone. I think that he needs to change his habits about when he feels they need to practice. They need to come up with a new practice schedule, in my opinion.
Maybe it's fair, not knowing, what discussions are happening and what the true feelings are versus the way it's portrayed in the media and the post games and stuff like that. It's a fair observation. The team is worn out right now. Call it what it is, and this is something that I did predict. I'm not patting myself on the back because I wish I was wrong, but troubled waters were ahead, in my opinion, going back to the Arizona game where they basically played 2 periods of meh hockey. They turned that on the third, thankfully, but it was 2 periods of, I'm starting to see the true colors of the team right now. And the true colors of the team are not, it's a bad team. The true colors of the team are not, long-term concern or anything like that. This is a tough period right now. We're starting to lose some man games. All of a sudden, we've lost our best player on the front and our best player on the back side of the ice. So that's a concern. Mark Stone had the crap knocked out of him last night. Call it what it is. He had a rough night. He's got a lot of bruises, and hopefully that's all he has as he wakes up. And this schedule doesn't get any easier. We're in the 8th day of the month. There's 31 days. So by my math, there's about 23 or so days left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a back-to-back. We have 11 games in 23 days coming up. And then once the calendar turns to January 2nd, let's see, there's 1 day off between Nashville and Colorado, 2 games off. But then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game home trip where there's going to be 4 calendar days between the Kings on the 7th and the Panthers on January 12th, my birthday. Nice. 1 day off Edmonton, 1 day off Dallas, 2 days off Detroit, 1 day off Washington. So, they really need to survive the month right now. Survive the month. 500 record, get out of December, and then January, start the season over again. And if we're going to look at the month as a whole right now, we lost to Pittsburgh, we lost to the Rangers, but we won against Detroit and Boston. We're 2-2. We're 2-2 this month. Get out of this month 500. There's 2 goals for the month of January, or excuse me, December. A 500 record and feel better about your home performance. That's it. Don't overthink it. If we can check those 2 boxes, everything will be just fine. We'll have different content to talk about.
Chris, you knew this was coming, and
Yes.
I'll give you credit.
Yes.
Back in
Thank you.
mid-November, you said, okay, this is great. VGK's on a roll. However, look at what's ahead. And the month of December is going to be
I got to
really
find that
tough.
tweet.
Oh, it wasn't just a tweet. I think you spoke about it. as
Right.
well.
No, it was both. Yeah, it was both.
The true colors of this team is one of those colors, steel gray. Is that one of the true colors of this team? I don't know.
Okay. Forgive me. Why?
I don't know. That's one of the colors they wear. Coming up
Wasn't a
next.
joke there? I thought there was something coming, Tony.
Coming up next, VGK, and we'll talk more about this. I know you really want to get into this today. No consistency when it comes to playing on home ice. What are some of the reasons why they run hot and cold? We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick in Las Vegas. And last night, the ultimate jinx. A guy from Hawaii, Chris, had made 32 consecutive free throws. School record 34. Announcers jinx. He goes to the free throw line. He's made 32 straight. Throws up an air ball. Fell out of my chair.
Tony,
and that's the ultimate
Tony,
jinx, bro.
Were you the announcer that said that?
Might have been.
Yes.
It was me. It was me. And we fell out of our proverbial chairs. He threw up an air ball. He's going for the school record, 34.
Oh my God.
He just needs to make these 2 free throws. An air ball. He airballs it. Okay, thank you for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen.
That was not rehearsed. That was not rehearsed. That's the best part about that.
For your next listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, the podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Yeah, that was a blast last night. Calling basketball, that is such an intimate arena there at the Dollar Loan Center for any sport. Of course, you go and cover the Silver Knights there. And, we wanted to talk in this segment as we get back to the reality here of VGK. Let's talk about what they call in the betting circles the home road dichotomy. Oh, do you like that? Where
you got my
some
attention.
teams, play better on the road than at home. And that's what's going on, or better at home than on the road. What if VGK had flipped its records? Would the fans be okay with that? What if they had, just that 1 game above 500 mark on the road, and then they were just slaughtering everyone at home? Would that make fans feel a lot better?
Yeah, 100% it would make fans feel a lot better, and it should make fans feel a lot better. And the reason it should make fans feel a lot better is because the road games are going to get harder and harder and harder the deeper into the season you get. And then obviously once the playoffs start, winning on the road in the playoffs is such a tall task and difficult thing to do. You have to take care of home. You have to do well at home to be able to succeed. I don't know if there's any teams that have had a long, successful Stanley Cup run that have had the type of projected split, if you will, that the Vegas Golden Knights do on the road. Now, I don't think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to finish the season, 33-8-1 on the road, or however that math works out. 41 home games. That's pretty close, actually. I don't think it's going to be that good. And I don't think the VGK is going to be a 550 home ice winning percentage as well. I do think things will hopefully get better. I mean, there's distractions at home, there's life, there's family, there's things in your life that you cannot do on the road. And it's fair. I mean, these are all humans. Me and Tony are human. The players are human. I know people like to put these athletes on a pedestal because they're making, 7 and 8 and at times 9-figure contracts, but they're still human. They still have lives to live. You cannot just turn everything off once you get back home, and you shouldn't have to either. It's not fair for us to analyze them like that. So, is there an explanation of what's happening right now? I don't think so. I don't think Bruce Cassidy is just getting lucky on the lines he's sending out there and not doing good line matching when, because on home ice you get the last match. I don't think it's anything like that. I think the players are having a hard time getting up for the games, and that is where Coach Cassidy has to earn his money.
Well, okay, so baby making takes a lot out of your legs. And I think, at home, something's going on with a lot of these players. I wanted to ask you about
Vegas, bro.
I wanted to ask you about the fan reaction, because you're up there, in the seats there.
What fans? They left.
Yeah. No, so what is the fan reaction as things go south at home? What are the fans thinking, and what are they saying, and what sort of solutions might they have? I want to hear from the voice of the fans.
I'm not that person, but it's, you hear the chirps and stuff, you hear the standard stuff out there, and people dogging Kolasar, who had a great game last night, in my opinion. And I wish Carrier almost hit him for like a center ice breakaway. I would have loved to see what Kolasar had up his sleeve. He's shooting 9 times out of 10. There's no way Kolasar is going to go forehand, backhand, try and roof it. He might, but it would be awesome if he did, but that's not going to happen. Everybody left last night. Again, talking to my friends next to me from Chicago, the comment was, you never see this in Chicago. It doesn't matter what the score is. And that's fair. That's a fan base that I lived, that I was a part of for a long time. And then obviously we're here now, and everyone gave up last night, and they should. Like, you don't got to stay and watch that type of shellacking if you don't want to. I don't question the fans for doing so, but I was taking pictures of block, and this is like 8-10 minutes left in the game when it's a 2 and 3 goal game. It's pretty much over, but it's not done yet. And 50 seats to my right are completely empty, complete rows on the lower bowl. And then obviously when it became 4-1, that's when just they started running to the exits. 5-1, they're leaving, just turn around, shaking their heads. And there's concern right now, but it honestly, I've heard worse than I've heard last night, as far as more or less last season when things were really going bad, coming January, February, and March. So the fans honestly weren't that bad last night, besides the fact that they left. Maybe that's why I didn't hear them a whole lot. Again, we're still top of the Pacific. We're still top of the West right now. This isn't a funeral by any means. We're not, playing the bagpipes. We're not sitting here, just saying VGK is dying in front of our eyes. That's not at all what's happening. We are in a tough spot right now. It's a tough spot. It's a slump. These things will happen again and again to every single team. It'll happen multiple times. It's nice to talk about it as a concern when you're on the top of the mountain versus at the bottom, looking up between you and 5 different teams to make the playoffs. So it's not that bad. As bad as it sounds right now, it's not that bad.
Okay, but a lot of the fans, and you alluded to this in your section, sold their tickets to Ranger fans.
I got no problem with that.
No,
okay. I'm of the notion. First of all, it's a Wednesday night game. People just sometimes don't like coming out for the weekday games. Let's start there. The only reason I was there with my kid is because we're going to give him a pass in the morning for school. He loves the Rangers, so this is a game. It's special to him. Otherwise, if that wasn't happening, I would have been up in the press box last night. But going back to selling the tickets and not going, I got no problem with that. I love seeing the road fans in the arena. We discussed this, I think in the summer, basically about, is it good or is it bad? I know Foley is not a fan of having the road fans in the arena, and I get that from the owner perspective. And, And at one time a loud "Let's Go Rangers" chant broke out while there was a lot of people still in the seats, and I was trying to zoom in on the bench, see if I can get a reaction. I really didn't get a whole lot. It didn't seem to register with any of the Vegas Golden Knights, but I love seeing the road fans there. I love interacting with them. I like hearing their chants. I like the up and back. I like the fact, here we go, I like the fact that every time they come here, they're worth about $700 or $800 a head for their time while they're in Vegas. And that's important too. We don't forget that. And, us season ticket holders, if we're able to get a little extra cheddar off of our tickets to ease the pain of that 4 and 5 figure bill we got to pay every year. And we can make a little bit of that back on the Ranger fans, on the Oiler fans, on the Blackhawk fans. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. We're the ones paying the money to invest in this team. We get a couple bucks back and sell our tickets to a road fan, as long as we do it the appropriate manner using the Access app. No problem whatsoever. It's all good.
And I like that we got ripped for both selecting the Rangers to win that game. I just
It was
felt
a
must
layup.
win.
I just didn't bet
Good
it.
spot. Good
It
spot.
was a layup. I just didn't bet it. Layup.
That was a good spot for the Rangers last night. Did you get the sense that they were, in fact, playing for Gerard Gallant, former VGK head coach?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's. I don't know if there's that much The first time they came last season or whenever it was, this is the first time Gallant won in the building as a visitor. I know that much. But it didn't feel like it didn't feel like the Boston game. It didn't feel like the Sabres game when they wanted to win it for Eichel. It didn't feel like that. I think I'm sure they want to win it for him. I'm sure the players know the storylines, and, Gallant, we can talk if it was a fair fire or not. That's another discussion for another time. But I don't think someone walked up to Gerard Gallant after the game and handed him the game puck and said, "Coach, this was for you." It wasn't that bad. They're playing for themselves in their urgency, I think.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Okay. I'll buy that. And then last year, as the Flyers come into town next, that was, I thought, the worst loss of the season. A year ago, Flyers had lost 10 straight.
That was only last year.
Yeah, that was a bad L for the VGK. Are you going to? You should get out there. You should cover this one. I just want you to have an exchange with John Tortorella.
I actually kind of want. I would love to go in the visitor locker room, but reverse retro game, there's not a world that exists where my kid's not going to let me not go to that game. He loves the reverse retro jerseys. He loves. So my kid, we got about a minute here. He is enamored with the Neon Museum now, and since that video. The pregame video where they're doing the exchange with the Golden Knight and the villain in the Neon Museum. He wants to go to the Neon Museum.
You haven't taken him yet?
We're going to go sometime during Christmas break. We decided that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but this is an important thing because
it's better than the Christmas lights at that house that you were blasting the other day.
That was those lights were really nice.
That was a nice one. Okay. Yeah, we need your top 10 houses.
Ooh, I like that. I can do that. I can definitely do that.
Maybe on Friday's show. It's just the Flyers coming in. Don't worry.
Too early. No, I need more time. I need another week. But point being is, this is a small thing, but this is an influence that the Golden Knights have, and it's a local thing, right? The Neon Museum. It's cool. It's fun. A great place to see all the history of Vegas. And my kid, as a result of, basically kind of watching the Golden Knights game and enjoying everything, now wants to go visit a museum in Vegas. So that's a good thing. That's a small thing, right? But it's just a little more about the sphere of influence our VGK has on the adults, on our wallets, and on the youth for wanting to explore Vegas.
Coming up on tomorrow's show, yes, we will be previewing VGK versus the Flyers. It's What the Friday tomorrow, and we're going to have some good takes.
Might be the whole show. Could we do a whole show about the Friday tomorrow?
We could do a whole show. We thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Of course, our podcast available wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. From a man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.